brief about, thing, and then we can take it forward. A general overview about, what you feel, the present circumstances, what we are going through in terms of Brexit, and where India-UK relations stand. What's the future for both the countries? I mean, you want long be in the EU now. Maybe it might happen that you have to leave. And then, what do you see going forward India-UK relations?
Well, let me start with the Brexit question, since that was in there, and the question that it might be that we will have to leave. We will leave. The result of the referendum was clear, and the policy of the government is that we will leave at the end of March. We now got to a deal with the European Union, and that will be ratified in Parliament next week. I think that it is good for the relationship between Britain and India. We have had over the years to give a huge amount of attention to the EU, and now we will have more time. Our political leadership, our business and our government official leadership will be able to give more time to other countries. And that was part of the reasons I accepted this assignment here in India. India is going to be extremely important as we implement global Britain, what Britain will do commercially after we leave the European Union. And clearly the US and China are important. But if you look at the contributors to global growth next year, China will contribute 32%, America 18%, and India is the next at 8%. So I think everybody in Whitehall and the government recognises how important India is. I certainly do. And the Prime Minister came out, made it the first trip when she became Prime Minister. India was the first country she came to. So I think there have been signals all along how important India is to the UK. And I think that is reciprocated by the Indian government as well, because we were very pleased to have had 2 trips by Prime Minister Modi in the last few years, including one this year, that then kicked off all of the technology partnership that we can talk about later. So it's important, and I think it is going well.
So in terms of the sectors that India UK can grow, which sector do you think it's the most important growth potential that you have?
Well, I think it's not surprising, because that's the foundation of trade, that sectors that are strong from the UK will not be the same that are strong from India. So I think our focus is to try and make the trade relationship successful for both parties. So it's not just about export promotion, which may have been the case somewhat in historical times. People doing my job were mainly focused on export promotion. I think what we're interested in now is developing the whole trade relationship to the benefit of the UK and of the benefit to India. So I think that clearly financial services is important in the UK, and we are a world market leader there. And I think the whole field of innovative services and products, which is why we've formed a technology partnership, because British universities have an extremely strong record of invention and innovation. It starts with the basic science and all the Nobel Prize winners, but in the last 20 years there's been a huge increase in the number of new companies formed out of basic science research in the universities, and I think that is an interesting model as well for India. So I think we have research and innovation that turns into companies. India has very complementary sector skills, so we know that IT systems, for example, software development, communications generally, is not only produced extremely strong businesses in India, but they have invested a lot in the UK, such that those companies in those fields now employ more than 100,000 people in the UK. And that's an example of, the UK just was pleased to find that India would cover those sectors from a UK base, and that's what I mean by complementary skills. I think the other exciting thing is that it is well established that one good measure of the health of an economy is the rate of new business startups. And I do think there's a real philosophy of entrepreneurialism, support for entrepreneurialism both in the UK and in India from the government. And also young people want to start businesses. Some older people want to start businesses.
So in a situation where, we read every day that, companies are moving out of UK because, UK is leaving the union. So how do you propose to retain companies or even attract new companies to go to UK and set up shop there? How do you do that?
I'd like to contest the premise of your question in the first place, which is that companies leaving the UK. Overall, the rate of net and gross investment into the UK remains at an extremely high level. There are some companies that left the UK, but that would have happened anyway. There is always frictional movement of companies coming in and companies leaving. So there is no difficulty as far as companies leaving is concerned.